So, cool. Like, it doesn't even bother me because I'm sure we're going to get a tome that, like, I'm sure we'll get a FNAF tome.
It's stinky.
But my concern is mostly that they're going to do what they've done for other licensed characters for Afton's lore. I am extremely nervous because I could say my expectations of being like, oh, maybe it's they take him after the FNAF. And I'm going to just say it right now, I would unironically fucking hate that. That is the most boring option they could choose from. The only possible thing that is more boring than that is if they gave us human Afton instead of Springtrap. And here's why it's boring. Because that would be an Afton that hasn't... I'll hold off my rant. What's going on?
I'm wondering if that could be a scheme.
With Springboning, man. But here's the thing. I think that's what they're going to do, and here's why I think it's boring often. Like, not even boring. Here's why I think it's just terrible. And I only think this as a super FNAF fan, right? Like, it's because that would be Afton at a point where he hasn't discovered immortality. Like, if he's picked up right as he's dying, he wouldn't really have any understanding of what the entity's realm is, and I think that's boring. Like, I want DBD's version of Afton to represent the character well, which is someone who knows that he's essentially, who views himself at least, as an immortal being that can't be touched. Like, Afton is such a narcissist, and I think that 100% needs to show through his lore and other things. If I were a betting man, I think a good pick would either be Ultimate Custom Night or after the FNAF 6 Fire. Like, if we have to choose a specific moment, I think those would be pretty good ones. Again, expectation is get spring locked, entity goes swiggity swiggity, and honestly, that would probably upset me. And the worst part is, I'm not going to find out for a while, because, like, here's my thing. Similar to how I said I didn't want people showing me leaks, I don't want people showing me how he plays. If they don't talk about his power in the anniversary stream, which they're going to, then I don't want to know about it. They're probably not going to talk about his lore. So I'm going to have to react to that, like, live. That he's nearly immortal. Like, I've constantly
jumped by a fucking Eldritch spider and taken to infinite realm of who's stuck, ha ha ha, get wrecked, idiot.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I've constantly said that Afton, unironically, would just enjoy the entity's realm. And I've said that every time someone says, like, oh, Afton being dragged out of Ultimate Custom Night to be put into a worse hell. It's like, what do you mean? He's the killer. Like, he would unironically, like, laugh about this. Like, especially if he's taken out of Ultimate Custom Night. He stops being tormented, gets to be put in the Spring Bonnie suit again, and gets to endlessly kill people. Like, why wouldn't he enjoy that? And to this day, it is not made clear, like, with DVD lore, if the reason why some characters basically get a sentence for their lore, if that's because behavior just doesn't want to write the lore, or if it's because the license holder is, like, holding them back on that. I would bet the second one, if I have to be honest. Because characters like Cenobite, Xenomorph, and Nemesis all have basically, like, a sentence. That's basically like, oh, they were in this moment, then darkness scooped them up, Lamau. Like, oh man. I love DVD lore, which means I love it when my licensed character lore is like a sentence long. Like, it's kind of rare that we get a licensed character that has lore that, you know, expands on things and does something unique. And I don't expect it to be any different. Like, I don't think we're going to have Afton experimenting with Remnant in the Springlock suit, and then get taken. Even though that would be really, really dope. Like, honestly, because here's the thing, I can see it going either way. I can genuinely see it. Like, I can see Scott not wanting them to do any lore because he doesn't want to confirm things. So he would basically only let them do the Springlock suit like stuff because that's at least confirmed. But I can also see Scott seeing lore so important that he would have them pull from like FNAF 6 and Ultimate Custom Night. Like, it's just one of those things that I'm going to have to wait a while and see, and probably react live. And, you know, hopefully it won't be awful. Luckily, we can talk about happier things now. That isn't my nervousness about the lore that they may or may not do. And these are the big ones. Which, first off, it has been confirmed that PJ Haywood, the original voice actor for Afton, is actually returning to voice Afton for Dead by Daylight. And I said it a couple times for this, but we're also going to have Matthew Lillard voicing his movie version, which is the character he played. And I have a lot more to say about that, but before I continue on and say things, I want to say that this is the best of both worlds. For whatever reason, I've seen people on both sides either be upset that Matthew was voicing literally just the skin, but also happy. So us getting both, congrats. Both sides can be satisfied.
Yep.
And we've only heard some of Matthew's lines, and I'll get to him. But I do presume that they will essentially be different characters, even though they're technically the same character, which I think is the first time for a legendary skin. Like, from my knowledge. Yeah, pretty much. Like, because they are very similar, but there are differences. And again, I can explain those differences once we get to Matthew, but I want to talk about PJ first. First things first, I do have some nervousness about this too. And this is more of a DBD thing than a FNAF thing. For some reason, DBD, when they give characters voice lines, it's really only happened twice. They've gotten better about it more recently, but when they give voice lines to licensed characters, they kind of just reuse lines some of the time. Like, both Pinhead and Wesker pretty much only use completely, like, old lines, even though they went through the effort of getting voice actors for them instead of just using archive lines. And to an extent, I'm fine with that. I just want to say that really fast. Like, I'm fine with Pinhead's because his makes a lot of sense. But, like, literally, one of Wesker's lines is that he will release Ouroboros. And I'm like, dude, you are trapped in a spider god's realm where you have to chase Steve fucking Harrington in his Scoops Ahoy outfit, and you can't get to him because he threw a piece of wood in front of you. Maybe get a reality check. And that's when it bothers me, is when the lines don't make sense. And I've seen, like, the fan stuff, like, of, like, Afton's lines. And a lot of them just have him saying things from other characters, which, to be fair, he did in AR a lot. And we all know how I feel about AR. And I will just admit it, I don't like that. I'm hoping Afton has mostly original lines. Except for one. There's one line that he has to say that isn't original. And it's the obvious one. He has to say, "I always come back." And unironically, I unironically think the FNAF community would fucking rage if he doesn't say that at some point. And it's not even that it wouldn't fit, like, you could just literally have it be his spawning in animation. Like, I've made jokes of it being used for his palette stun animation, but it could also work for that. But again, I want more than anything. I'm happy that PJ is voicing, presumably, like, base game Afton and presumably any other skin that isn't the Yellow Rabbit.
Yep.
We're happy. We're happy. And by the way, to the people that say that Afton
Unless
doesn't
there's
talk,
like another skin.
I mean, for Burn Trap, they could get the guy that voiced him in that teaser, which I don't remember who that was. Which, by the way, there have been people saying that Afton doesn't talk, and I assume they're specifically referring to FNAF 3. Because no joke, I literally saw someone try to argue that Springtrap from FNAF 3 and Afton from FNAF 6 are technically two different characters. To which, no, they're not. Literally the same fucking character. In fact, I can guarantee you the only reason he's called Afton in FNAF 6 is because there were arguments around that time of that game's release on if Springtrap was Michael or William. And I know that because I was there for it. But no, Afton talks a lot. As someone that has consumed far too much FNAF media for my own good, like Jesus fucking Christ, he talks a lot. He talks a lot in FNAF 6. He talks a shit ton in AR. He talks so goddamn much in the books. Like, this man does not know how to shut the fuck up. And that's kind of what I like about the character. Like, you know those characters that exist where it's like, just by the way they talk, you can tell that they love the sound of their own voice? Yeah, Afton goes into that category. And again, I do think at the end of the day, he's going to enjoy the Entity's Realm. So you think he's not going to shit-talk the fuck out of the survivors? Or like get pissed off at them when a piece of wood like bangs against his knees and he gets hurt by it, even though he's mostly a robot now? Like, again, it's character accurate, and I do think that it should be mostly original lines. Wouldn't be the end of the world if it was a lot of recycled lines, though the only case with that happening is AR, and that game, the voice actors weren't directed by Scott. The voice actors were directed by Lumix, which I don't know what they're doing nowadays. And I honestly don't care. They stole everyone's money and ran away. May they never touch Five Nights at Freddy's ever again. But yeah, and my nervousness about this is that Behavior has a similar system. Like, because we know it's because of, like, Matthew Lillard. And again, we'll get to him in a second. But the thing, that's just voice directors. They obviously didn't say how lines are written. I would presume Behavior writes the dialogue. And so, which with that in mind, that probably has to be approved by Scott. Which doesn't ease my concerns, because Scott is a fan pleaser. For better and for worse. Like, you know how people say that Ian Flynn, all he knows how to do is write references and just shove them into things, and sometimes they're right.
Yeah.
That's my nervousness here, is that Scott will do that. Like, Scott knows how to write good dialogue most of the time. And I'm hoping that he'll pull through on this. But part of me is like, I can literally see him just shoehorning references in just so the FNAF fans will point at the screen. And I know it'll work on me for a bit, but my thing is, what happens when that novelty wears off? Like, when I step back and look at this, I don't want to look at it and be like, oh, he's just saying all these lines from this one thing. Like, as someone who doesn't really care about immersion, that would be a bit immersion breaking, because it wouldn't feel like Afton has been plucked out of the FNAF universe. Because it wouldn't feel like the character if he's just repeating lines. I'm hopeful that he's getting mostly original lines, aside from "I Always Come Back" and maybe a few lines from AR.
Head by a pallet.
I'm gonna call you a wanker. Unironically, if he actually says that, that's gonna be the funniest fucking thing.
Kinda hoping that they just do it for the funny. Just have this.
I mean, FNAF Ruin referenced Joy of Creation, so why not? Which, by the way, that's not a joke, by the way, for those who haven't played Ruin. It straight up referenced Joy of Creation. And that is unfortunately just logged into my memory forever because I took 3 to 4 whole minutes to remember the name of that game. And again, it's not a joke because when Ruin came out, I played it on my own. And it's just like, it's literally just like, I forget, I think they're called like the ignited animatronics, if I recall. And it was like Ignited Freddy, like on the side of an arcade cabinet. And I literally see that. It's like 4 a.m. or something like that. And I'm like, oh, it's the Freddy from, I'm like, oh, what's his name? Oh, what's it called? And I'm thinking for 3 to 4 minutes, and I'm like, oh, Joyce would be so pissed at me if I don't remember this. Oh. And then randomly, after minutes of thinking on it, I'm like, Joy of Creation!
Bro just nearly busts his own ass trying to remember.
It was just so long, and I'm like, it had like the prototype, like the guy put together whose name I can't, unironically, I can't remember his name right now. Was his name Creation? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
The many things put together.
yeah, at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Which, while on the topic, yes, I'm excited for the remake. Yes, probably gonna play it. Don't know if it'll be a stream, but I'm very excited for it. So I'm happy that PJ's back. Oh, yeah, I can delete that. Hang on. Happy PJ's back, hoping for mostly original lines, with maybe an "I Always Come Back," obviously, and a few other reference lines. That wouldn't be bad. Because again, like imagine a line where he kind of vaguely gets what the entity's realm is, or at least shows joy in it. Like, I literally saw a video recently, and this won't happen, but like, Afton, like in that video of that concept video, that person voicing it, literally name dropped Cassidy, and I don't remember the line, but I think it was like Afton taunting Cassidy, which would be cold, and it's not going to happen because that's a confirmation, and Scott don't do confirmations, of course not. Like, this man won't even let companies use dates for merch. You think he's gonna name drop a character that people have been arguing about? If that's the child tormenting Afton endlessly, or if it's this other child in the books tormenting Afton endlessly. And no, I'm not giving my opinion on it. I don't need to open that can of worms, because I have an opinion on it, but I'm not saying it. But if you know me well enough, then you probably know my answer. The point is, like, I'm hoping that, and I'll swing around on this when we're wrapping up, which will be soon, but I am hoping that that Game Afton is more cold and calculated, because we got to read on Movie Afton's personality, which is more fun and happy and clearly just having fun murdering people. And now we can segue into that. I am very happy about that skin. I have one issue with it. I really hope that the mask is toggleable, because otherwise I don't know how often I will use that that skin. Because it doesn't really feel like Afton to me if he's not going full Spring Bonnie. Like, there's a reason why it's a meme that Afton just wears the Spring Bonnie head everywhere. And if you're curious how much of a meme it is,
Even
and what?
Viet Kung, after they give him just a human skin, and bro starts tweaking because there's no rabbit. No rabbit.
Kind of. But like, here's how much. Like again, it's such a connection point for Afton that it's a meme to the point where that I think I've told you about her. Like Chloe Imagination is what I think her name is. I cannot ever remember her name for some reason. Like, which is an artist I follow on Tumblr. She draws FNAF comics, and she drew one where it's literally just like Afton, like movie Afton and movie Vanessa, looking at a wall of pictures, and all of them are like of Afton wearing like the spring Bonnie head. So it's like the born of his child, spring Bonnie head. His wedding, spring Bonnie head. His daughter's like won at a soccer game, spring Bonnie head. She's going to prom, spring Bonnie head. She's graduating, spring Bonnie head. And he just goes, memories, and he's wearing the spring Bonnie head. It's just amazing. And unironically, that's kind of canon. Like that, because if we look at the fucking original novel trilogy, which I get it, reading, scary, but there's a part in that book where he actually refuses to talk to the kids, where when they have him tied up, until they put the mask on him.
True.
And like I know Matthew has said that he hopes people will accept Afton being more of a mask-off villain. To which I say, that's kind of hard to do. That's like saying that like characters like Spawn or Venom shouldn't wear their mask. But when you go to watch those characters on screen, that's kind of what you're going for. Like, I think people would be more used to it because Afton is kind of also mask off in the books. Because by the third book, he just wasn't in the Spring Bonnie suit anymore at all. But yeah, those books get worse and worse. I just want to say that. First one's good though. I like the first one. But anyway, like.
Yes, pregnant Matt.
Well, it didn't happen in that one, but I haven't read those yet.
The greatest storytelling ever, trust.
To Scott's credit, he did admit that that's probably the worst one of those stories. And he literally went like, when you have an idea for something, you kind of he imagined it being a lot creepier than what it ended up being. And it's like, yeah, I get it. Like, if you just describe the scene, it's like, okay, a guy cuts his own stomach, and then a little spring trap comes out. It sounds ridiculous, but that sounds a bit creepy. But if I tell you the full context is that he got zapped by Glitch Trap, started eating a lot more food, and quite literally got impregnated, and then he cut his own stomach open and a baby spring trap came out, suddenly you're thinking, what the fuck? Like I said, I get it. Ugh. Yeah. The thing about Matthew Dustin, because here's the thing. I do want there to be a difference between the Aftons. Matthews, from what we've seen from the voice recording that just showed, is like a lot more jolly and happy to be murdering. And if I were to choose, the Afton is just enjoying the thrill of the chase. Because again, this is the first time, from my knowledge, that a legendary skin is literally just the same character. So they need to make them different. That's a very important thing, because otherwise, what's the point in using one over the other besides the voice actor changing?
Yep.
And honestly, I think that would go well with how they're both portrayed. Game Afton, who honestly extends the book Afton, no matter how you look at it, is a lot more cold and calculating. He views himself as, again, an untouchable god that nothing can mess with. Again, loves the sound of his own voice. And we don't have a lot of movie Afton because he has like 10 minutes of screen time total. But in the scenes where he's attacking Mike in the pizzeria, he's clearly just enjoying himself. Like, as dumb as the line is, the symmetry line is, where he's like, "First I killed your brother, now I kill you. Symmetry, my friend." Like, as dumb as that line is, it just shows he's enjoying the thrill of the hunt. And it would be the perfect way to show the differences in these Aftons. And again, that's how I would personally want them to go about it. With that, we can talk about the very last thing.
The funny.
The funny.
Yeah.
Which is that this one's more theory, because I'm not sure if I understood the thing correctly when he talked about it in the interview. But I believe the Yellow Rabbit isn't a legendary, but a visceral, so I think it's called, a visceral skin. Which, if you're confused on what the difference is, from my knowledge, visceral skins are basically legendaries, but they have a unique Mori. And if that is what they meant by that, that means that the Yellow Rabbit and Afton are going to have different Moris. Which is kind of weird to think about because they're both using knives. Even though the Yellow Rabbit's knife is like, 4 times the size it was in the movie. But that shit was like a kitchen knife in the movie. But there, he's like wielding a fucking combat knife. So I don't know if they're going to fix that or if he's just going to have a humongous giant knife. Which, I can tell you what, like, if I were a betting person on what the Moris could be, I imagine Yellow Rabbit will be using the knife itself more. As that's something he did a lot in the movie, is, like the time when he stabbed his own fucking daughter. So, I'm sure that was fantastic. But guys, I know what you're saying. Afton cares about his kids. He cares about them so much.
Sure.
Like, he totally watched over his youngest son and gave a shit when he was shoved into an animatronic's mouth and had his skull crushed. And he totally watched over his daughter and made sure she didn't get near the kid-murdering animatronic. And he totally didn't send his eldest son down into a basement. Like, it made me confused when game theory. That, again, I don't want to get too much into that, but they're sticking with the story that, Afton, truly does care about his children because of the I will put you back together line. And personally, this is a comment I saw that I 100% agree with. Like, I've seen people say that he views his children as trophies, which I can agree with. But someone had a much better analogy that I think works a lot more, which is he views them more as, he views them the way you view a pet. Like, in the way of, he likes the idea of having kids because it's something to flaunt and show off. But he doesn't like the hassle of actually having to, raise his kids. Which, it's honestly, probably the perfect example. Probably perfect. I feel like...
Girl could literally care less.
Yeah, honestly. Unironically, I feel like when Crying Child died, I feel like his viewpoint on that wasn't even sad that his child died, but it was literally annoyance that he has to deal with the consequences of that. And I'm sure publicly it's publicly he pretended to be upset about it. Just like I'm sure he pretended to be upset about Charlie's death, even though he stabbed her probably a day earlier. But realistically, I feel like he just viewed that death as God damn it, another fucking problem I have to deal with. And that's all there is to it. But if I were a better man on the differences of the Moris, I feel like Yellow Rabbit is essentially just going to stab with his knife a lot more, especially if the mask isn't going to be toggleable. And again, I hope it is. There's been a lot of push for it. So, it's possible that it will be. It's just one of those things that we'll have to wait and see because the skin actually won't be in the PTB at all, even though they've said, like in the last PTB, that from now on you would be able to view skins. So I guess just we're doing take backsies now. So, we're going to have to wait on that one. Even if not, I'll probably still use the skin every once in a while. And Game Afton, I've heard a lot of ideas like maybe he just shoves you into a springlock suit, which could be cool. But I kind of like the idea more of him just using the animatronic suit to crush the skull of the survivors.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Like,
yep.
Whatever it is, I don't expect it to be over the top Omega gore. Because A, FNAF, and B, I think that doesn't exactly fit Afton. I feel like he's more clean about it. Maybe not Movie William, because he got stubbed the shit out of his daughter. But, I feel like that's the way they could do that. I can just delete that now. Yes, delete.
Damn.
It's my notepad. I was deleting one of the note things I have, and I got hair in my face. But with that, I have talked about everything I wrote down.
Damn, I bet it's on.
Yeah. Talked about everything I wrote down. And honestly, despite the many hiccups, because there were hiccups, but my ass was not doing a video this time. And I'm dealing with one of those hiccups now, but it's fine. But yeah, talked about everything, and it's clear that we don't know a lot. And again, there's a good chance more things are going to come out in the next 2 days with the teasers. They're probably going to upload one in about 3 hours from now. I will probably keep an eye on that. And again, if any of those teasers I feel like is a big enough confirmation on something, you'll get a short from me. But otherwise, you're getting nothing. So, yeah, I think I made my opinions clear on stuff. To the point where there's so much I can't even do a quick run back like I usually would like to. I'm very hopeful on this being a good adaptation, and I'm very hopeful that at minimum, I will enjoy this DLC no matter what. Even if people get annoyed by how often they're seeing Afton. So yeah. I will see you all around. As now, I have to shove Joyce into an animatronic suit.